What's happening? What's good? What's going on? Part of my presence YouTube channel. Let's get right into it and discuss what became the biggest news story of last week that had people in an uproar. People were outraged, and it had to do with a simple movie trailer. Apparently, Disney decided to do a reboot or a remake of one of their animation classics, The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid came out originally in 1989. It was a box office hit. It won about 14 awards, 2 Oscars specifically, and people fell in love with the storyline, the music, and also the characters. So what Disney did this time around is that they decided to do a live action reboot of this movie, meaning that they're going to have real actors and actresses play these animated characters. And when they put out the movie trailer, and it was revealed who was going to play the beloved redheaded Ariel, people became outraged. And the reason for that is because the actress who's playing Ariel is none other than a black woman, Halle Bailey, or maybe it's Halle Bailey. I'm not too sure how you pronounce the first name, but that is who's playing Ariel. And when that was revealed, so many people became upset. So many people had problems with it. A lot of people said that this was a blackwashing of Hollywood and the classic movies that were traditionally played by white actors and actresses. So people had a real problem with this. Now, you think you would have to state the obvious, but judging by the uproar and people being upset about this issue, it needs to be said. It's not like Halle Bailey is playing a historical figure like Winston Churchill or Gandhi. She is playing a fictional character that represents a mythical creature. In other words, anybody could play this character. You can even give it to a trans person if you wanted to, because it's a mermaid. A mermaid. It's like being upset about the representation of a dragon or being upset about the representation of a unicorn, right? None of these things really existed. This is the figment of people's imaginations, meaning that you should be able to expand your imagination and say, you know what, Ariel could be a white woman, a black woman, an Asian woman. Ariel could be whoever we want it to be, because it is a character that was a creation that comes from a mythical background. Nothing to do with an actual historical figure, because if it was, then I would understand, right? And the funny thing about it is that when you really look back at Hollywood and the history of it, there are many historical figures or historical movies and portrayals where they still put white characters or white actors to play characters that should have been either black or should have been Middle Eastern or should have been Spanish. We've seen that all the time. We could go through all of the movies about Moses. We could Charleston Heston. We could go to movies like Gandhi. Who played Gandhi? Is that guy Indian? No. Right? So there's so many examples of the whitewashing of historical figures that white people and right-wing conservatives got in an outrage over a mythical character. It's crazy to me. And on the flip side, there's a lot of strong emotions as well too. I saw a black family celebrating. I saw a black mother and daughter crying tears of joy. The fact that Ariel's being played by a black woman. And it's weird because these are the tears that you shed when a child is born, or when a father walks his daughter down the aisle to get married. Those type of tears. Now, I understand people were saying that it's important that Disney has decided to provide black representation and give black people a space. And I understand that black representation is important. You know, when you see yourself on TV, on the big screen, when you hear black voices on the radio, it gives you something to aspire to. It's something that you can identify with and relate to. And if you see yourselves in these spaces, then you also understand that those spaces and those careers are something that's achievable because you actually see other people that look like you doing it. I remember growing up in the 80s and the 90s, I used to want to be a doctor, and the reason for that, not because I was extremely smart, I was interested in the medical field. It was because I watched The Cosby Show, and I saw Dr. Cliff Huxtable, and I also saw Claire Huxtable, and they were professionals. Cliff Huxtable was a doctor, Claire Huxtable was a lawyer. So those are the things that you aspire to because of what you saw on TV. It does have an influence, it is important, so I understand all of that. Now the problem with this is that all Disney did was just put a black face on a already existing story that was originally for a white person, right? I mean, if you really wanted to have the proper representation, if you really wanted a space to be created for black stories and black authors and black representation, then what Disney should have done was create an original story written by a black screenwriter, directed by a black director, and have black actors play these characters, and have a black production company assist and provide all of the recommendations and the financing. And then at that point you facilitate that, because then that is true representation, that is true empowerment, and that is what's going to get people to say, you know what, I could see myself as these characters because these characters and this storyline was created specifically for me. Not necessarily just putting a black face on a white character and retelling an old story, because I agree with the criticism that a lot of people had, which is just blackwashing just by putting a black face on a white character. I agree with that. I don't think that this is the proper move if you want to celebrate black representation. I think the way to do that and to empower black people and black voices is by allowing black voices to be told or heard, and their stories to be told, and have them have control over what they put out. And that is what's lacking from this, because there's no control over this. This is an original story. This is already written. There's nothing much that they're going to change or deviate from the original script. So really, is this really a black representation? And this is going to get into my next point in regards to what this is really about. This is about marketing. And I said this before numerous times, whether it's in the lives that I've done or videos. Outrage is currency. Outrage is the new tactic for advertisers and marketers. What people have realized is that one of the strongest emotions that people have are negative ones, right? If you had a great experience at a restaurant, you're not going to really post a positive review on Google Reviews or anywhere else where you could do reviews, Yelp. You probably won't. But if you had a shitty experience, if you didn't like the food, if you didn't like the service, then you're 10 times, 100 times more likely to create a review. They understand that. And what they're doing is that if they could create some type of outrage, if they could create some type of narrative about their product, about whatever it is that they're selling, if they could create enough outrage, enough of that emotional spark, then they could create a viral moment. And all advertising is, all marketing is about creating awareness. It's about getting people to have a certain feeling about a product, to have something that's memorable, and that will drive people to some type of action. And what you're going to have here with all this outrage and all of this uproar that we're seeing, the one thing that people understand, and if they just back away from the issue, what do we learn about all this? We've learned that Disney is putting out a live action movie of Little Mermaid. That is what we know, and we know when it's coming out, and we know who's involved, and we know that we're going to like it. And then you have black people who are going to support it. We're going to have white people who are not right-wing extremists. They're going to promote it and they're going to support it. And we're also going to have some right-wing extremists who are going to support it as well too, because you can't have a discussion about something that you've never seen or that you've never experienced. So they're probably going to watch it as well too and get upset about it, because that's how human beings work. So advertisers and marketers have figured out that the tactic of outrage works better than anything else. And that type of viral moment, all these people talking about this issue, it works, and it's something that you cannot pay for. Right? And we've seen that in so many other things, whether it's H&M and what they did, whether it's Gucci and what they did. So many companies are using the tactic of outrage to get a message out there. And then if it offended anybody, what do they do afterwards? Oh, we apologize. We didn't know. Let's hire a black person. Let's do this. Let's give some money to charity. And everybody walks away and everybody's happy and people forget about it and they move forward. But the main thing that comes out of it is the fact that they got their message out there to as many people as possible. Many people are made aware of the product, and that is the goal of any great successful marketing campaign, is to spread awareness and a cause to action. So that's something that people need to be really aware of as to what this is all about and why they put Disney, why they probably chose a black person to play this character, because they understand what is going to be created from this, and it's going to galvanize certain groups, it's going to outrage certain groups. But at the end of the day, people are informed and people are going to be driven to go and see it. And the quick observation I want to make here is that there's a concerted effort for black women to be presented as strong, independent figures. We have a movie coming out, The Woman King, where the whole idea is that black women are warriors, they're fearless, they're leaders, they're masculine, they're strong. All of these things are being promoted, and you have Hollywood getting behind this, you have corporate America getting behind this, social media is getting behind this. It's almost like they're celebrating black women, and all that is great. It's good that black women are having their voices heard and they're being seen. All that is great. But here's one thing I just want to bring to your attention. About 2 years ago, there was a movie called Macbeth that came out. Now, this movie, if you don't know Macbeth, it's a play that was written by William Shakespeare. Now, Macbeth is, from what I understand, he is a white character, a person who became a king, and he's traditionally played by white actors. But 2 years ago, or about a year ago, Macbeth was played by none other than Denzel Washington. Now, we all know Denzel Washington is a great actor, and he is black as well too. And no one gave a shit. There wasn't any videos of black families celebrating. There wasn't a video of a black dad and his son crying tears of joy. The fact that Denzel Washington is breaking ground and is playing white characters now. There was no uproar and outrage from right-wing conservatives saying, why the hell is Denzel Washington playing white characters? No one gave a shit. No one really cared. And it's kind of odd to see the disparity between the two moments, because really they're exactly the same thing, but no one cared. And it's really sad that when it comes to black men doing something, if you want to consider this something of importance or breaking ground, no one really wants to celebrate our accomplishments. So I just want to put that out there. If you haven't noticed that, people didn't really give a shit about Denzel Washington playing Macbeth. The one thing I really enjoyed about this viral moment were all the memes that came out of this. I saw a lot of memes where they're swapping black actors playing white characters or white actors playing black characters. It's really funny. I saw one where Matt Damon was playing Malcolm X. You had Mike Tyson playing the Terminator. You had Terrence Howard playing Batman. It's funny. So a lot of those things were coming out, and that's probably the best thing that came out of this, that people really didn't take this as seriously as everybody else did. And that's really the way to go about this, because there's really nothing to celebrate over. It's just a movie. At the end of the day, Disney's going to make the money no matter what happens, and good for them, but they're not going to share it with any of us, right? So it's not something for us to be fighting over and to be more divided about. This is just ridiculous. It's a time waster. But I did enjoy all of the memes. So that's really all I wanted to discuss about this whole situation with the Little Mermaid and the outrage and the uproar, so on and so forth. You let me know how you feel. If you agree with my commentary, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And until next time, next move, best move, part of my presence YouTube channel. Peace.